Welcome to the Airbnb Blueprint podcast, your go-to training hub for building your very own Airbnb business. In each episode, we break down the exact blueprint that helps us build a multi-six-figure Airbnb business from scratch, and we'll show you how to do the same. Continue learning with us for free in the Airbnb Blueprint coaching community on Facebook. Find the link in our show notes below. Commit, believe, succeed. Let's go. On this episode, we're going to speak in detail around speaking to agents, letting agents to secure that first rent-to-rent deal, things you should say, and most importantly, things that you definitely should not say. Also, the power of potentially going direct to vendor, which is a lot easier for that first special deal. Here we go. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. I'm here with the fantastic Pooh. We've got him here again. How are we doing?
Oh, freezing cold, mate.
It's freaking cold in here. We need to get some heating going on.
Yeah.
Right. We are going to do a little 30-minute masterclass here for those of you who are maybe playing with the idea of getting involved in building an Airbnb business, or if you've already got one or two rent-to-rent deals and you're looking to take on one more, or if you're looking to take on your first one. There's a lot of, it's sold as like secrets around how we talk to these agents, right?
The script.
The good old script. So we're going to talk around that. We're going to break it down, give you some really good pointers and bits of advice, tips and tricks about how you could potentially secure your first or second rent-to-rent deal through agents. And just before we get started, the reason why I'm saying, if you're just looking to get started, or maybe you've already got two and you're looking to get your third, is because we will never, promote the idea of building a huge rent-to-rent business. Okay. We talk about it in our masterminds. We spoke about it last night within our mastermind group. A couple of rent-to-rents, 3, you should be capping it, and you should be knowledgeable enough and confident enough to start scaling the management arm of your business. Much lower risk, a lot less capital intensive, and potentially could make a hell of a lot more sense for your VAT situation.
Yeah.
Right. Moving forward.
I mean, the industry is changing fast. So, we have to be protecting the business. It doesn't make sense to take it on, then you have to pivot to other ways. Right?
Yeah. And actually, I was telling Pooh just before we came to the studio, I got a lovely message from someone that was on the mastermind last night that was blown away by the fact that we said no to someone else's idea about scaling their rent-to-rent business. And she said it was so refreshing to hear people in this SA coaching space, instead of saying, yes, more rent-to-rent deals without giving a shit or thinking twice about the consequences from a business perspective, we're like, no. So just to put that out there, but rent-to-rent does work, and getting 1, 2, 3 deals is absolutely a great way to start. Why don't we start, Pooh, by having a discussion around the best way to source your first rent-to-rent deal? Because we're going to focus on agents, but I think we both agree that going direct to landlord through networking events, through family, friends, people who already know, like, and trust you is probably the best place to start.
I think it's always, a challenge for a lot of people to kind of break away from their, day to day, what they do, and then suddenly wear a different hat to become property investors. So I think that's the thing that they have to realize first, that, I'm going to break away from that, and it's okay to wear different hats. And then, you have an interest in short-term rental properties in the industries, and then you can make a difference for other people as well. So you can turn that property around. They can make, more money for other people, I would say. If you're looking for like management deal, essentially you have to find a way to kind of make it work for everyone. You're not going to fetch any deal, right? I mean, if you go around to people in the room and said, look, give me properties, no one's going to get you that.
No, absolutely. And let's talk about why it's easier. It's pretty obvious why. It's because, those people, your family, your friends, people that you work with, people that you go to the gym with, parents, at the school plays, at your kid's school, there's already a relationship there. When you're going cold through agents, especially when you're first starting out in this business, there's zero trust. There's zero relationship there. They don't know you from Adam. So as knowledgeable as you may be, as well-hearted as you might be, as, well-intentioned, you're going in there cold and trying to convince them to give you a property when they're already kind of, not doing company lets. They're doing AST contracts. So it's already a little bit weird, a little bit different. What's this all about? And then, you've got to get them to buy into you. So that's the reason why you should be starting out kind of going direct to landlord or direct to family, friends, people that you already know. And then outside of that, we've got all these networking events. We was just having this discussion with a previous guest. If you are going to focus on networking events in order to find that deal, which is an incredibly powerful way to go about it, you should be going to more business networking events rather than property events, which neither of us understand why all the other property training companies and Facebook groups are saying, oh, you've got to go to your local property group and property. It's like, everyone's there doing the same thing, trying to find a deal.
Same pitch, right?
Same pitch.
20 seconds. Yeah.
20 seconds.
Same pitch.
So look up your business networking events, accountants, lawyers, right? Tradespeople, all these people that might have buy-to-let properties that want to use them as service accommodation, they're going to be there.
And if you are like time short, like me, because I am pretty much spends a lot, like most of my time with my family. If you think you are struggling to go to networking events, you can, always go to soft plays, with parties and this and that, and just have a chat with, your friends, your family, the mom, the dad.
Ronald McDonald.
So it's all about like telling everyone, what you do, who you are, but at the same time, you have to make it exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you make it, I don't know. I think that's why it should kind of attach, and it should come from the heart in some way, and it has to become your passion.
Well, I think you just genuinely want to offer them a better solution rather than just thinking, I can get money out of this person.
Yeah.
Come at it from a different angle and give them an opportunity to, a better solution. Rather than just, I want to make money out of it. This is how.
I think if it's solely kind of focused on just you're never going to sell, But if you are like really genuinely trying to help them, like to really come up with something to help their situations, I think that has a massive values, and, the know, like, and trust would come in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like, and trust. All right. So let's get into some of the key points around agents. First of all, and, some of this stuff has already been discussed in some of the previous episodes, but we're going to kind of pack it all into one here. Everybody is coming out of the training courses looking for that first deal, and they're all doing the same thing. They sit at home in their nice, warm, comfortable home office, and they just call agents, right? That's all they do. So a couple of things that they're immediately probably doing wrong, not wrong, but just not the most effective way, is they might be spending all of their time calling the big chain agents, right? Like the Countrywides and the Bairstow Eves and, these guys. You've got absolutely no chance of even getting past stage one because they're just not going to do company let agreements. They're not going to allow it. They don't do it. They've got no interest in it. They've got enough clients that simply just want their properties managed on AST residential contracts, right? So straight away, you want to start focusing on the much smaller companies, the one-man band agents, where there's just a handful of people working for them. Maybe they've got 20 properties on their books. They're the ones that are going to be open to more creative and flexible strategies, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And the way that you can find them, a nice little tip, is instead of using Google to find these companies, use some of the smaller search engines and some of the kind of slightly older platforms, stuff like Yell.com, like the Yellow Pages when they went online. And what you'll find in there is a lot of those companies can't afford all of the money that it costs to rank highly on Google, but they can pay to be on Yell's platform. So that might bring up like 20 little small independent agents within a kind of 10-mile radius of where you live. And they're the ones you want to be calling.
I mean, yes, you can still kind of browse through listing portal like the Rightmove as well. And obviously, look for properties that are actually, let me take a step back. Before you look for properties, I think it's vitally important that you know the audience that you want to serve first. You know the market you want to get into first.
Yeah, otherwise you don't know what properties you need.
Exactly. But I think that's a common mistakes where we get questioned like, oh, what do you think about this property? And can I do this? Can I do SA? Can I do, and we're like, so which market are you targeting?
Mhm.
Who are your niche? I said, I haven't got a clue.
Mhm. I just want a property.
I just want a property first. Let me get that key shot. Let's put the contract round. But I said, that's not the right way to do it, because you have to take a reverse,
Yeah.
step in that case. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, really, really good point. So make sure you know what you're looking for first. Then you're going to go out and you're going to try and find it. Something else that's also really, really important to consider here, guys, is the referencing, right? We had this discussion last night within our mastermind group. It's hard. It's really, really tough to get through referencing with an agent, and especially difficult as a company if you're new, because they're going to say, right, can I have the company accounts? I want to see how much, profit and loss and this and that. Make sure you're making money. Make sure that you meet the affordability. And then you're like, oh, we
you're
only
not going to
opened,
go through it. So.
we only opened a couple of weeks ago. So, if you don't think that you're going to pass referencing, remember that the referencing costs are non-refundable. So once you start that process, and it might be £300, £400, £500 to reference you as a company, it's normally more. Well, it's they're not charging tenants now, so the costs have gone up for companies. If you foul that, you're not going to get the money back. So, and that can be a huge hit when you're just starting out. So, ideally, if you're just starting out, what you really want is you want assets. If you buy to lets behind you, a nice chunk of money in the bank account that you can use as security or guarantors. You need as much stuff as you can. If you've got none of that, then the honest truth that you may not want to hear is that you're probably not ever going to get a deal through an agent, and you need to move 100% of your time and focus to direct to landlord, who aren't going to necessarily want a strict referencing. So again, back to your networking, back to your social media, back to screaming from the rooftops what you do, telling everybody what you're looking for, family, friends, mum and dad's at the school.
With the agents as well, it's all about building the trust, building the rapport with them. So, if you're gonna walk in or just cold call them, obviously you're gonna, be competing with another 1,000 applicants, doing the same thing
same
for
thing.
rent to rent. So obviously the agents will be extremely tired of you, angry with you, because you just want another one of that cold call, right?
You can almost hear it as you say, "Oh, hi, I was wondering if you might do a company." And before you can even finish it, you hear the sigh and you're like, this isn't going to go well. Yeah. So how to get around that, and it's not going to work every time, but simply by leaving the house, putting your shoes on and going into these agent shops in person, confident, with a business card to hand, with your contact information on there, with a really clear, polished, not script, but an idea of what you're looking for.
Yep.
And actually physically going in there. And you don't need to have a specific property in mind to go in there and say, "Oh, hi, I'm inquiring about, 123 Smith Street."
Yep.
You can simply go in and say, "Hey, nice to meet you. My name's Alex. I've got a serviced accommodation company locally, and we're looking to take on more properties. I'd really love to build a long-lasting, strong, sustainable relationship with one of the local agents here, so that we can, work together and create this mutually beneficial relationship. Just wondering if you had anything that might meet this criteria, A, B, C, D." What's the worst they're going to say? They're not going to, throw you out through the door onto the street. They might say, "You know what? Really sorry, we don't do that." Yep. No problem. You took it off the list and you move on.
Yeah. And then next week, go back in again.
Yeah. So. And then the next morning, go back in again.
Because you'll be talking to a different person.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, really good point.
Yeah.
But the difference here is that you're immediately separating yourself from the crowd, right?
Yeah.
And even if they don't have anything right there, they're going to, if they're a decent person, they're going to kind of respect the fact that you've taken the time to go in there in person. And they're immediately going to take your business card and put it on that other pile of, okay, if something does come up, this guy's a potential, right? So, yeah, just get out and.
I mean, I think, that we have to kind of frame ourselves, our mindset as well, that, we have to think of like an agent, because, like say, putting ourselves in their shoes, right? Those guys, how are they going to make the money? They're going to make the money by earning the commissions. If they show you the properties and then somebody take it on, yes, they get commissions from it. So we have to see it from that angle, and so if you're trying to go in and then kind of pitch your sales all the time, they'll just be like, oh yeah, time waster,
Mm.
time waster, time waster. We don't need this kind of people. The market is flooded already. So we have to understand what are the pain points that they're having.
Mm.
And by the only thing that we can do is just have a chat with them to say, look, how's the market doing right now? Are there any properties that are quite hard to move? What are the issues with that? And I think that's where we can try to add values, but we have to be quite careful as well that we don't take on like complete wrecked property and then start to renovate it ourselves. And
that is a big risk, right? And something that's worth just touching on is that when you're starting out, you're desperate. It's been a few weeks, maybe a few months. You can't find that deal, and then you get a call from an agent. Oh, hey Pooh, yeah, I remember you came in a couple of weeks ago. We got this place. It's infested with rats, and the roof just fell in, and it's got 3 smashed windows, but it's in a great location. The landlord's open to a company let.
But they're not going to do anything.
No, they're not going to do anything. But they want you to do a full refurb and pay them guaranteed rent and take on all the maintenance. A lot of people would take that on out of desperation, and then only realize once they sign the contract and start work on the refurb, that it wasn't the greatest idea.
I want to touch on something else as well, Alex. That I've been approached by deal sources, and obviously I'm me, I'm not a big fan of deal sources because there's a lot of gap. I would say like the unethical practice there. And a lot of time I noticed like lately is that deal sources, when they present the deal to me, they just give you the property descriptions, details, and I ask them like, what about the numbers? Like have you guys got the numbers? And a lot of time they came back and said, you know what, we don't do numbers anymore. Because it could be misleading for investor to take it on, and we prefer the person who wants to take it on to do their own due diligence. And I think that is such a rubbish excuse. I mean, if you want to sell something to other people, right, you should give at least a pack that they can just see it clearly, and then it's
an analysis pack.
Yeah.
I think it's just a cop out, really. For them to say, I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've just found this property where the landlord or the person said they'd be open to a company let, and then they're just trying to sell it on for a commission. Yeah. All right, let's tackle the number one objection which came up last night again in the mastermind. Someone was saying that they'd been potentially offered a deal by an agent, but the agent was asking, isn't this subletting? So it's not subletting, and it's very clear why it's not subletting. Subletting is when you rent a property on a contract, an AST contract, and then you move out and you move someone else in on a separate contract, and maybe you charge them 1,000 and the agent's charging you 800 and you make the difference, right? That's subletting. That's not what we do. So very simply, we as the company are going to sign a company tenancy agreement with the agent. So we are now taking the property on. The company essentially becomes the tenant. And then we're going to place guests inside that property, guests being the key word. No contract, terms and conditions, yes, but no contract. It's not their primary residence. They're not having any bills. They're not taking on the utility costs. They're not having mail sent to the property. They're simply guests, just like you would be if you went to stay at a Best Western or a Premier Inn, a hotel, right? At the end of your 3-day stay, for example, that you've paid for 3 nights, you have to go. At no point could you go to reception and say, oh, hey there, I've decided that I'm going to stay for a couple more weeks because I enjoy the breakfast, right? You have no rights. And that's the same with serviced accommodation. You are the tenant. Your guests are your guests. They sign your terms and conditions. They provide their ID documentation. They book a stay. And at the end of it, they must leave. They have no claim to the property, right? So that's very simply what you have to explain to the agent as to why it's not subletting.
Sometimes it can be a challenge, I would say, because, if you are trying to kind of regurgitate your knowledge and then fill it to the agents, they'll be like,
yeah,
like what the hell are they talking about out, you know?
Yeah, they switch off. You can see it in the eyes.
Yeah, so that it's quite a fine line, but I think, the good thing sometimes is you drop one thing at a time. Let's clear one thing at a time through, one problem at a time. Sometimes the issue would be like, if you clear one door at a time with the agents, they're like, man, this is too much. It's taking too much of my work, my time. Can you speak to my director instead? And that's how sometimes you get over the gatekeeper and then just go straight to the boss.
Yeah. It's a good point. A lot of the time, don't be afraid to say, before you start giving your pitch is like, hey, do you mind is there someone senior I can speak to, a manager? Yeah. Because otherwise, if you're speaking to the trainee on the front desk, they're going to listen to it and then they're going to say, I don't really understand it. I'll mention it to my boss. Yep. He'll give you a call.
And you would know who would be, the boss, because he always sit right at the back.
Right at the back.
It's the one that looking back to you. Nah, tongue waster.
Yeah.
And just put his head back into.
Yeah, absolutely. So speak to whoever's in charge if you can in an ideal world. The next thing is, we want to think about why, put yourself in the agent's shoes. Why would they do this with you as opposed to an AST contract? What are they getting out of it? Flip the roles. Why would they want to kind of go out on a limb, especially if they don't normally do this and you want them to take a punt on you? What are they getting out of it? So really, the only thing that I can really work out, and the training schools will give you this whole script and, download my free script, for the agent script, the voodoo black magic. But in reality, the only thing that they're really winning by working with you is that they can charge you a referencing fee.
Yep.
Right?
I think the other thing is they retain their clients. I think so. If they are like letting agencies, of course, they want to keep their clients happy the whole time. If you do a great job,
if
you do,
I'm talking about at the point where you're trying to sell them,
right? Okay.
They don't know they're going to retain. You might be a complete fuck up.
True.
So I'm talking about you're trying to sell them and get this first one over the line.
Right. Okay.
So referencing costs, right? So they're going to make a few quid there. Everyone else on the training schools are like, oh, you need to sell them that you're going to cover all the maintenance and. It's going to be really passive for the agent. They don't need to do any work. Well, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because that's where the agent's making most of their money. When the tenant, we've got buy-to-lets, right? I get emails all the time from the agent. Got one yesterday. Hey, Alex, the tenant has said that some of the paving slabs out the front are broken and slightly uneven. Would you like us to get you a quote to replace those flags or paving slabs? He's going to find someone that say, I can do that for 500 quid and I'm going to get a bill for 800, right, for example. Yeah. So you saying, we take care of all the maintenance, you don't have to worry. It's a negative thing for the agent.
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So that's really a cross. Mm. That really doesn't do much. And then they're saying, I guess when you say to them, look, we need to keep this property like a show home all the time. So it's going to be kept brand new. That is of interest to them because they want to keep their client happy. The client's going to, have maybe a bit of a renovation job done and the property's going to be kept. But again, these are things that you need to prove over time. Mm. I'm talking about things at the very front end. So rather than going in there and going, just reeling off all this stuff that you've been told to say in this long script that you've been walking up and down in front of the mirror, kind of, saying over and over and over, the more you say, the more objections you're just bringing up, really. So I wouldn't even say any of it. Yep. I think if I was going to go back, I would just talk about, a long-term contract. Again, is that helpful to an agent? Because again, they're going to be missing out on
fees,
tenancy fees. Every year when they do a 12-month contract, they're making money. So again, is it really worth mentioning? So I don't know. It's like, how much of this stuff do you really want to say?
I think it's more of it's a long-term working relationship between you and the agents.
That's what I would focus on.
Yeah, and I think that's the key to build a fruitful relationship in that case. So.
Yeah, really good point. So instead of saying, "Hey, Mr. Agent, I offer A, B, C, D, E, F," none of which are interesting to the agent, you're better to go in and say, "Hey, Mr. Agent, I'm looking for this property. This is what I do. I've got a reputable business. I'm trained, I'm knowledgeable, I'm learning every day, and I want to build a long-term relationship with you where every time you have a property that comes on your books that ticks my criteria, I'll take it next day. You charge me the referencing fees, give me the chance, give me this one property, let me show you what a great job I'm going to do.
Yep.
And then we can start moving into this long-term relationship, at least for 2 or 3 properties.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know,
that makes a lot more sense to me. So.
It makes a lot more sense. And I think
but when we started it wasn't like this.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, this script that, you know, you see it endlessly, you know, people uploading on socials, you know, DM me for a copy of my rent to rent script, guarantee you deals with agents. You know, it's complete rubbish. And the problem with it is, obviously, if you walk in there with this script that you've memorized, you know, you speak about it all the time and the agent says, all right, well, yeah, but what about this? And you're like, well,
that's not on number 4.
It's not. It's not on the list. It's not on the script. Don't worry about it. And you go running out the door.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, you know. And all that script is doing is replacing your lack of internal knowledge, where you're able to confidently and fluently answer the agent's questions. You know, or more importantly, the landlord's questions. You know, who's going to have a hell of a lot of questions as well as they're trying to suss you out, work out who you are, if you really know what you're talking about. Anyone who's got to a point in their life where they own properties, you know, they're not going to be a dummy, right? They're going to want to know, okay, you've approached me, you've said you can do this and that. What about this? You know, what about, you know, this section 24? What's that all about? I've heard about this capital allowances thing. You know, how do I know you're not going to have parties in the property? You know, who's your target market? What happens if a pipe bursts at 3 a.m? You know, what are you going to do? So, you know, you need to know this stuff. You can't just rely on some script you downloaded.
And I guess the only way to know it is to educate yourself.
Yeah.
You know, to equip yourself with the right knowledge.
Yeah.
So you can be confident to walk in and talk to these people.
Absolutely. But like I said at the beginning, the pain that we're talking about now of trying to get these first couple of deals, it really shouldn't go on for that long because, you know, what we say, couple of deals, couple of rent-to-rent deals, and then you should be moving into scaling the management arm of your business, which is what we talk about a lot in the Airbnb Blueprint coaching community. So what do you reckon? Anything to add? We missed any important parts?
Wouldn't say so, no.
We could touch on not getting too excited on overspending on somebody else's property. Like how many times do we hear about that? Guys, I got this cracking deal. You know, I just had to put in a new kitchen and an extension on the back and it's perfect for contractors.
Oh, that's a bit extreme, but yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I think it comes back to the fact that they don't know the numbers. You know, like say you put so much money in, right? How fast can you recoup the number back? Because what a lot of trainers out there, what they're not telling you about this business is a very high risk business. You know, so you expect to put the money down. Yes, it might not be as you know as much as buying a property, but it's still quite a sizable amount for a lot of people. You know, it's a good savings from, you know, a lot of families. Now, how fast can you recoup that money back is the key. And even, you know, with all the analysis and everything, right? Analysis is still a kind of guesswork to a certain extent. You know, you can spend like months on it, but it's still a guesswork until you put it out to the market and let the market dictate it and you adjust and you tweak things along the way.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's really more important to kind of have some rough idea, like, you know, I'm going to put this much money in, I'm going to get it back maybe about 5 months, and then the rest would be real profits to begin with.
And you said it last night in the mastermind. Well, one of the people on the call said, you know, hey, I want to take on another couple of deals this year. Started asking some questions around it, and you immediately stepped in and said, okay, well, how many properties have you already got? I think it was 2 or 3. Okay. Have you recouped all of your investment from those rent-to-rent deals? Have you got that money back yet? And he was like, oh, I don't know. You know, really great guy, you know, doing good, but had zero idea of whether or not they were back at like break even and ready to start taking on more deals.
It's like, you know, if you go and buy a property, right? Like say a buy to let, and then you sang, I don't know, 25 grand, 50 grand in,
into a deposit,
and then a deposit in with all the fees and everything involved. And then you get a rent of
500 a month.
Yeah. That's going to take more than 25 years to get your money back. It's
not real profit. I mean, it's not as cut and dry as that. I mean, we got buy-to-lets that capital appreciation is really strong, right? So it's not all about that, but just in a very, very simple model. But yeah, lots to chew over there. But bringing it back to a real basic level, it's all about communication, right? Being honest, being professional, knowing what you're talking about, spending the time to nurture relationships. If you're a complete arsehole and you walk into an agent and you just lay out the most perfect pitch, and maybe they've got the perfect property that suits everything you've just asked for, they're not going to do business with you because you haven't put in the time and effort to nurture the relationship. As soon as you have a little niggle on the phone that, okay, we're getting on well, we're cracking some jokes, we're talking about this or that. Hey, Susan, can I just pop in and have a coffee with you and maybe show you some of the stuff that we're doing? I've got a brochure. It'd be really nice to show you. The minute that you're sitting down with them and having that little meeting, like next base, closer.
Yeah, exactly.
Closer to getting that deal.
I remember so clear, just almost like yesterday when we took on the first property, I almost had to sit down and beg them. It's like, please give me this property.
Kissing their feet.
Yeah. Like I'll do anything for you. So, to get it over the line, and if you say something like, if you're gonna do it, you have to do it. There's no back away from
follow through
to the end. So,
well, lots of good stuff there to chew over, and don't forget, guys, I'm going to do a shameless punt here or pitch for our group. All of this stuff that we're talking about here is discussed every single day in our coaching community on Facebook. No hard sell. Not asking for any payment. There's no subscription, just endless amounts of knowledge, webinars, masterclasses, daily wins, social media, growth, advice, endless amounts of stuff. And it's all there waiting for you in the Airbnb Blueprint coaching community. So search it on Facebook or go to the show notes where you've got our link that will take you right to our landing page. And there's lots of great information on there. And it will take you through into the group and will help you start your business, help you scale your business, help you get off of the rent-to-rent train and into the management side of the business where you can really scale. We'll show you how to systemize and automate your business so that you can get more hands-off and create more passive business that maybe you could do a little bit more remotely, get more time abroad if that's what you want to do. Increase your numbers, increase your cash flow. It's all there. So head over to the Facebook group and get direct access to us every single day. All right. On that note, we'll wrap things up. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Airbnb Blueprint podcast. And we'll see you next week for another episode. Till then, take care. See you later.